So if anybody misses it, they will have a copy. So welcome to learning all about regenerative health and the principles of how we can support the body to heal. And modern medicine, has a lot going on for us. It's a beautiful thing in extreme, acute situations. We can save lives. But I do think that sometimes we lean into it too much, and we're not actually getting to the root cause. We're just putting Band-Aid on top of Band-Aid. So what I love about regenerative health is that we're actually getting to the root of what's going on in the body, and we're helping the body reawaken in natural ways because it is designed to heal. So, a little bit about me just before we dive in. If you don't know me, I am a regenerative health practitioner. I got certified through the Regenerative Health Institute and also the Health Coach Institute. And I help people to reverse deep chronic conditions in the body. And I never thought I was going to be a health practitioner. I got into this line of work because I had my own health crisis. When I was 30, I was told that I needed a hip replacement. And I said, no, I can't even imagine going down that road. At the time, I was a dancer. It wasn't even an option for me. So I went down the rabbit hole and I tried a whole bunch of things. And then once I found regenerative health, it only took me 3 months. It's about 3.5 months. I got out of chronic pain and my hormones had balanced out in a way that I didn't even know was possible. So I was so excited. I shared this with my parents. They both had incredible breakthroughs with their health. They had deep chronic conditions that they had been dealing with for a long time. And that was the turning point for me where I was like, holy moly, this is really powerful. And I want to share it with the world. And I want people to know that there is another way to support the body to heal, and we can actually reverse any condition, any disease that's going on if we go deep enough. So excited to share this presentation. Yay, we've got one more popping in now. Welcome. So glad you could join us. I am about to start here. I want to make this bigger for you guys too, so you can see my full screen here. Do 1 second. Joys of technology. Here we go. Great to see your face. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to present here. All right. So, how to delay regeneration? It is totally possible. We can all do it by addressing the root cause. So it's a system of reversing discomfort and disease that's been practiced since the 1970s. Dr. Robert Morse was the founder of this, and he actually figured out how our lymphatic waste filters through the kidneys. Our GI filters all of our food waste, but every single cell that we have in the body has to eat and poop just like we do. And that cellular waste has to be carried out through the kidneys. So even if, we're urinating well and we feel healthy, we may still have a clogged lymphatic system. So we'll talk more about that in a second, but basically this involves a process of leaning into whole living live foods, more raw foods in your diet, nutrient dense alkalinity, bringing in the electron side of the spectrum, because when we are in sickness, when we're in disease, we don't have enough electrons. We are proton dominant when it comes back to chemistry. So we're moving into diet shifts, and potentially we're adding in some other regenerative tools. Oh, we got one more person popping in. Some regenerative like biohacks or advanced modalities to really increase cellular function and clean up the inner terrain to help the body to get rid of heavy metals and anything that doesn't belong there, like pathogens or parasites. For anybody who just joined us, we just started, so don't worry, you haven't missed anything. We're just talking about how to support the body to heal. And when we give the body the right environment and the right support, then it can repair. So we all have a built-in self-cleaning system, and this is the lymphatic system. So whatever we eat, whatever we're drinking, whatever we're breathing in, and whatever we're putting on our skin is all how waste enters the body. And then it has to come out through the kidneys, the colon, the skin, or the lungs. So I would love to hear, just put a 2 in the chat if you would eat your skincare products right now. Would you eat them? Anybody? This took me a while to actually get all of my products in line as far as things that are toxin free, and don't have endocrine disruptors in them. There's a great website called ewg.org. And yeah, right. I know most of us wouldn't eat our skincare products, but it's something to think about because it's going on your skin, it's going straight in your bloodstream. So I am now very careful about what I put on my skin. And if you want some suggestions in the future, let me know. So lymphatic congestion is one of the leading causes of disease in the body. If you want to get to the root and really simplify things, we're too congested. There's too much hair in the bathtub drain, and we got to pull it out. We got to get it out in order for the body to clean itself. So we are technically an alkaline species. We are designed physically, biologically, like a primate is. So way, way, way back when we were evolving and we were just figuring out like fire and stuff, we were eating fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds on a daily basis. And, every once in a while we might catch a fish or we might happen upon some meat, and we were an opportunistic carnivore. We have the ability to eat meat, but our colon, our GI, our saliva, our teeth, like the way that our whole body is structured, is not designed to break down meat protein. So when we're eating a lot of meat protein frequently throughout all day long, this can cause a lot of backup in the system because we don't have the digestive power, the bile production to really keep up with it. Oh, we got one more popping in here. 1 second. I'll let her in. Hi, Cynthia. Welcome. Oh, she's not quite in yet. Sorry, guys. 1 second. So our blood has to remain at a 7.4 pH in order for us to stay alive. This cannot deviate. So our body is constantly buffering acids coming into the system, and it's all about balance. And, you can be too alkaline. We can go too far. But most of at least people in America, we are on the acidic side of the spectrum. So we need to bring more of those electrons in. Oh my gosh. AI companion. Yes, I want you. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, guys. 1 second. I'm approving AI to take notes for me. So we're buffering these acids with calcium, fat, cholesterol, and water. These are our fire extinguishers for inflammation. So the body will literally rob Peter to pay Paul, so to speak. And based on like our genetics and things, we may lean one way or the other. So that human, like put a 5 in the chat if you know that human who's like super, super skinny and they can eat all day long and they don't gain a pound, right? We've all met one of those people. And those people are using calcium to buffer their acids. So they're more prone to having weaker bone issues and scoliosis and those sorts of things as they age and their cellular age, right? Yeah, absolutely. We all know that human, bless their soul. But they've got calcium issues, whereas somebody else might be gaining weight and they're putting a lot of fat on because fat can literally keep your cell safe from deteriorating from these acids like burning the cell. So we'll add more fat on there. We'll add more cholesterol on there to protect the cell. So the body is always trying to protect you. But then we start adding on these resources, we've got high cholesterol because we've got high toxicity in the system. And when we get the toxins out, the cholesterol drops down, the fat drops off. And I like to say excess weight is simply excess waste in the body, so when we support the body to release that waste, we can come back into balance. So the body's always speaking to us. And I like to say, one of my favorite quotes is, when you listen to the body whisper, you'll never have to hear it scream. So I'll put a 4 in the chat if you have 2 to 3 symptoms or discomforts where you're like, oh, I wish that my shoulder wouldn't ache every day. I wish that I didn't have acid reflux. I wish that I didn't, have painful, heavy periods. I wish that, things that we just live with that we think are normal, but they're not normal. They're just common. because we are all dealing with these things on some level, right? But our body's just sending these little signals, and if we start paying attention, then they won't start piling up and adding up. So it's really important that even if it is a little something coming up for you, this is a signal that something's out of whack. And it's time to pay a little more attention. It's time to nourish a little deeper. It's time to get a little more rest or a little more sunshine. So our symptoms can be very telling for us. And when you go deeper into symptomology, they can really tell us a story for what's going on with the organs. So just to drive it home as far as acid versus an alkaline body, let's do a little quiz. So put a 1 for acid and a 2 for alkaline. So a blank body builds electrolytes and optimizes nutrient transportation. 1 acid, 2 alkaline. Which one is it? Do, 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 do. Yes, exactly. Alkaline. Very good. So in a blank body, fats, minerals, and constituents begin bonding together, creating stones in the liver, gallbladder, and kidneys. Acid or alkaline? Put a 1 for acid, 2 for alkaline. Yes, nice, Kathy. You nailed it. It is an acidic state. That is what causes the stone formation. So we can avoid this. A blank body enhances all cellular function. It's cooling, it's rehydrating, it's anti-inflammatory. Acid or alkaline? 1 acid, 2 alkaline. Yes, Kathy's on it. She's on fire. And then a blank body causes cravings, congestion, and excessive mucus production. Acid or alkaline? We're just driving the nail home here. Yep, nailing it. It's an acidic environment. So I just want you to understand like how important this truly is, as far as we don't have to experience disease at all. Our body can heal, but we have to bring it into the right internal terrain. We have to shift that internal terrain. So an alkaline body can heal itself. Let's talk about macros versus micros, because we are a very macro dominant culture right now in America, especially. And we're always focused on our proteins, our complex carbs, our complex fats. We want to build muscle, and that's great, but it is not all that we need to be paying attention to. In fact, our micronutrients are the more direct route to what our body actually needs, because a piece of protein is a chain of amino acids that our body just has to break apart to utilize. And we'll talk about protein in a second. But yes, your micros are your amino acids, your vitamins, and your minerals. And your body runs on minerals. Like our nervous system is an electrical system. We are electrical beings, and we need these minerals in order to be able to function and send those signals. So I would love to hear from you all a spectrum of how many fresh fruits, like raw fruits and vegetables, you eat a day. So put a 1 in the chat if it's 5, if it's like 1 to 5. Put a 2 in the chat if it's 5 to 10. Put a 3 in the chat if it's 10 to 15. Anybody got 10 to 15? Yeah, exactly. That's the average. That's the average that we usually do, is around 1 to 5 pieces of fresh fruits or vegetables a day as far as raw foods go. But the more that we can bring in these fresh, raw, living foods will bring more life into the body. And organic does matter. The pesticides that are on our foods have neurotoxins in them, which will harm us deeply. So organic whenever possible with your fresh raw foods. Another fun fact is that the colors of your fruits and veggies indicate different nutrient content. So even if you're not an expert on any level, Vilma, I'm gonna mute you, love. I'm sorry. Can we mute? Just so that we don't have any overlapping sound. But if you go to the grocery store and you choose like a wide spectrum of colors in your fruits and vegetables, then you are actually getting a lot of different nutrients as well, which is really cool. Little hack for the grocery store. So let's talk about protein, because protein is misunderstood. It is just a chain of amino acids, and we don't even need all those aminos. The body doesn't need all the aminos in the chain very frequently. The body will break apart those aminos, and it'll be like, I want this amino, I need that amino, I need this amino over here, and it'll start delegating the aminos where they need them. And then some aminos are not needed, and they're going to be tossed into the lymphatic system. So when you're getting your amino acids from fresh fruits and vegetables versus a chain of protein, then it is a more bioavailable way to soak up nutrients and also not back up the lymphatic system. Um, so the body can only absorb 8 to 10 grams of protein per hour and should not exceed 20 to 25 grams of protein per meal, because this puts a lot of pressure on the kidneys. It's a lot of work for the body to break down protein. And if you learn like the science behind it, we're not going to go through it because it's a long process, but protein breakdown, oof, it's a big load for the body to take on. So when you eat meat, on average, it absorbs around 11 to 36% of the protein you consume. So just keep that in mind. So there are 20 amino acids that are essential to human life. 9 of them must come from plants. So your body's still, if you're getting it from meat, your body's searching for the amino acid that the cow ate from the grass. Like that's literally what it needs in order to build and thrive. And the other 11 amino acids can be made within the human body by like piecing together different nutrients. Super cool. So the largest study that compares meat eaters with plant eaters, the average plant eater actually got 70% more protein than they needed daily. So I only bring this up. I'm not trying to demonize meat on any level. It can be helpful for us, but it is something that I think we use in excess, and we need to understand how it breaks down in the body so that we don't like develop kidney disease over time and those sorts of things, or hypertension, which high protein diets can cause. Also acidosis, inflammation, and premature aging. That's another cause of high protein diets over time. And people get really backed up. It takes 17 hours for a piece of meat to leave the small intestine alone. It can take up to 72 hours for that piece of meat to fully process from mouth to butt. So that's, again, if we're eating meat every meal, that can be a lot of backup in the body. Animal protein and fat has a tremendous impact on endothelial function, which means cardiovascular action, what's going on around the heart space, and it lasts for about 6 to 7 hours after you eat. So even a single hamburger can impact your blood flow by 27% for 7 hours after eating it, which I think is pretty substantial. How much protein do you need? So you can actually figure this out and calculate it yourself. So the body only requires 0.36 grams per pound per day to support your current stature. So if you are bodybuilding, yeah, you might want a little more. But like the average human that's just living life and trying to maintain a healthy weight, we usually need like around like 60, maybe 65 grams of protein a day, maybe less. And 1 cup of diced chicken, 43 grams of protein. 8 ounces of salmon, 54 grams of protein. A cup of cooked lentils or a peanut butter sandwich. That has as much protein as 3 ounces of meat or 3 large eggs. So there are very easy ways to get plant-based protein in the body. And a lot of people I know stress about that too when they're thinking about eating a little more plant-based and moving into these sorts of diet shifts. Protein's a big fear. So one thing that I do want to bring up is glyphosate, and talk a little bit more about the chemical pesticides sprayed on our conventional food crops, because it's everywhere. It's water soluble. So it can get sprayed on the crops. About 4% of it hits a weed and the rest of it soaks into the soil, and it can get into our water systems. And it can even get into the air and rain down on us from the clouds. So that's why some of our organic crops are now being contaminated with glyphosate, because it spreads so much. The Mississippi River is now 75% glyphosate, and there's a desert the size of Texas at the base of the river, because nothing can live there, because it's killing all of the worms, it's killing all of the soil, nutrient in the soil. And our food is only as nutrient dense as the soil that it's grown in. So you can see this organic fertilizer, it's got all this organic matter, these microorganisms in here. This is fertilizers with glyphosate. They're drying out the earth and the plant has nothing to work with. So we are creating these empty foods. So you see these bright vegetables that, are grown at the grocery store, but they're non-organic and they're so big and it's lacking nutrients. Our tomato is not our grandparents' tomato. We are dealing with a whole different issue these days. And this is a neurotoxin that causes a lot of gut damage as soon as it enters the body. Within 30 minutes of eating it, it starts breaking apart the tight junctions in the gut lining. So there are solutions for this. There are ways to get this neurotoxin out of our bodies, but it's in our Cheerios, it's in our produce. It's all over our wheat and our oat crops and our corn crops. So this is something to just be very aware of. Soil health is directly related to human health right now. So gut health. So how do we know if we have gut injury? This is something that a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I probably need to work on my gut a little bit, but the gut is the hub of so much for our health. So do you experience any of these? Put a 1 in the chat if you have had any dabbling with any of these here, because I feel like we all have, on some level, one of these has been an issue at some point in your life. And so many of us deal with this, and most of us probably deal with multiple of these, and this is a direct indication that there is gut injury going on. There's something blocking the microbiome from being as bountiful as it needs to be, and that is chemical toxicity. So if your gut needs some love, I can help you with that. All of these things can be repaired with the right support. Ion Biome from Dr. Zach Bush is one of my favorite tools to use. It's quite affordable and it helps to tighten up those tight junctions after damage. Hormone health is gut health as well. And I like to just point this out because we are dealing with so much stress these days, so much anxiety and depression and mood disorders going on. And this has to do with our neurotransmitter function in the gut. And 80% of our hormones are made in the gut. 90% of our serotonin, 50% of our dopamine. That's a lot of our happiness right there, dopamine and serotonin. And 9 out of 10 of our neurotransmitters go from the gut to the brain. So those signals are being sent to the hypothalamus, which is a gland in the back of the brain, and then it tells the pituitary what to do. And that is the master hormonal gland. She gets to boss around all the other glands and say, hey, adrenals, make this. Hey, thyroid, do that. Hey, it's time to chill out with this, ovaries, or whatever's going on. And if she's not getting the right signals, it's like a bad game of telephone, at the end of the line, you're hearing something completely different than what the first person said. So this is how there can be a cascade of hormonal imbalance when we have gut injury going on. Okay, so this is all a lot of information, I know, but I want to give you some simple things to walk away with today as far as how can I feel better without going deep into a regenerative protocol. There's always ways to restore your body. One of which is shifting your internal environment with food. Get more of those living foods. Sprouted foods are one of the best things for you in the world. And fresh fruits in the morning before other foods. These are high vibrational, electron rich foods that are going to deeply nourish us and help us squeeze the acids out of our cells. Staying hydrated is deeply important. We are electrical beings. We send nerve signals all over the place. And what is the Wi-Fi that sends the signal? It's water. We need that currency flowing within our body. Drinking clean living water too. A lot of our tap water has so much stuff in it that we don't want in there. So making sure you're drinking filtered water. I love the Epic brand pitcher. You can find on Amazon. It's relatively affordable and it even pulls out some microplastics out of there too, which is amazing. And structured water. So you can restructure your water. Some people use reverse osmosis and it takes all of the minerals and all the structure out of the water. There are ways to get those minerals back in if you do that. We don't want completely dead water or stripped water. Getting in your morning sun is so important. So we are biophotogenic creatures and we actually receive information from the sunlight and this triggers certain biological reactions in the body. So even getting out first thing in the morning for 2 minutes and letting that morning sunlight come into the eyes without your glasses, without your contacts or anything, letting that light get into the eyes and putting your feet on the ground. My mentor, she was laughing about it. She was like, even it's a non-negotiable for me. Even if I just have time to brush my teeth, I'm outside with my bare feet on the ground in the morning air, brushing my teeth, and this will actually increase mitochondrial function. And our mitochondria is the powerhouse of our cell. It is like the charger, the battery of our cells. And every single one of our cells has them. So that we can charge up on that energy. Support your organs and glands with certain herbs. Always consult a professional if you don't know what you're doing with herbs. If you're on any kind of medication, sometimes there can be complications there. So ask me, ask another professional before you go down the herb road, just in case. Eliminate toxic lifestyle stuff, like check out that ewg.org website to double check your skin products and your hair products. I was breaking out in hives in my 20s, like for weeks and weeks, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I realized that there was propylene glycol, which is the main ingredient in antifreeze, in all of my hair and skin products. And the second that I cut that out, the hives disappeared. So get curious about what's in your stuff, you know? What are you putting on your body? And then if you feel like going deeper, getting some kind of cleanse going on, I can help you with that too, as far as dealing with bacterial overload. Parasite cleansing is powerful, but there are specific ways to do this to make it effective. And then, of course, incorporating biohacks, advanced modalities, healthy movement into your lifestyle. I like to say movement, not exercise, because I don't think that high intensity exercise all the time is helping anybody, but making sure that we are moving and stretching and engaging the body on a daily basis. And then breath work can move mountains in the system. You can actually do 70% of all detoxification in the body with your breath. Really powerful stuff. I love, there's this YouTube guy called Breathe with Sandy. He does 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute, 20 minute sessions. You can choose your adventure there, and they're deeply powerful as far as a reset mentally and physically. And then meditation, and then grooving, enjoying your life, making time for pleasure, making time for the things that actually are meaningful to you, because we need to come into the rest and relax state in order to be able to heal. And I think that a lot of us are ignoring the little things in life, you know, because we're so focused on getting to the future, getting to the next level, or, you know, feeling better now. And yeah, I'd like to just put grooving on there to kind of encapsulate that whole have a good time, you know, as much as you possibly can. So I want to just share a couple testimonies to wrap up today. This is one of my clients, Julie. She was one of my first clients. She had 10 years of deep weight loss resistance. She tried all sorts of different programs and things, belly bloat. She had racing mind, adrenal fatigue. It took her 30 days and she dropped 15 pounds, and she no longer has the fatigue or the belly bloat or the racing mind. So she's super stoked about her experience. My friend Anna decided to take a journey with me. She had ongoing years of hormonal imbalance, hypothyroid, weight loss resistance, depression, and anxiety. And she is feeling amazing after our journey together. It was a really beautiful transformation to see her take. And then Megan was one of my biggest wins because she was told that she needed a hysterectomy and it was going to cost her $30,000. And we were able to reverse her estrogen dominance, her hot flashes, her night sweats, her brain fog, her terrible periods. And she's just super stoked about like leaning into her business and not having to worry about her body anymore. So anyways, thank you so much for coming. I'd like to open up this container for any questions that anybody may have. I just want you to walk away saying, hey, I've got options, because once you get to the root cause of something, you can reverse it and your body can heal itself. Alkalize, get your micros, care for your gut, and eat the rainbow. Any questions here today? Feel free to come off mute if you like.
Hey Elsa, it's Kathy. So my son, who's in his early 30s, got diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Mm-hmm.
How can I help him just to begin to change his diet? because he's pretty resistant to that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, slow and steady, progress over perfection. I would love to share a little bit more about the nutrient dense foods that I work with because they really make those diet shifts a lot easier because our cravings are an imbalance in our gut microbiome and we're going to crave what we've populated. So as we start to shift that internal terrain and that biome and we integrate more of the other kind of bacteria, his cravings are going to shift too. So having patience is number one. There's a liver supplement that I also want to share with you that is deeply effective. I'll just share this testimony with you all because it's one of the most powerful things I've ever heard. There's a man who was a deep alcoholic. He had stage 4 liver disease and he refused to change his diet. He refused to make any changes at all, except he agreed to add this liver supplement in. This is an herbal formulation, wildcrafted, like nothing I've ever seen out there. And 2 months later, he dropped from stage 4 to stage 2, and he's continued to heal his liver. He's still on the healing journey, but he did not change a thing, and he just added in herbs. So that's how powerful herbs can be as far as our ally. And I would love to share that liver supplement with you.
Yeah,
Um, and then diet shifts one step at a time. So dairy is the biggest one. That is the most pathogen loading and detrimental on the body. If anybody wants to learn more about why that is and the science behind it, I strongly encourage you to check out the book, The Enzyme Factor. And this doctor who wrote it, his family was deeply sick, his wife and his baby. And this led him down the rabbit hole of all these gut studies and why, we have these gut issues. And anyways, he's proven the point on the dairy factor. So if you're curious about the science behind it, go there. But dairy's the first one. Try to work on him with that and finding food swaps, like little things that he can switch. I also have some favorites there as far as some of the companies out there that make, pho cheeses are not tasty. I don't like them. Like the Daya stuff tastes terrible and the texture's terrible. But there are some good ones. I enjoy Follow Your Heart, and there's a few others. So I can send you some of those suggestions because what I find that, especially in the beginning when we're trying to make these deep diet shifts, having a familiar meal like a gluten-free pasta with vegan meatballs and vegan Parmesan cheese, if that's a meal that he likes, then make it for him, but make it plant-based. Miyoko's makes an incredible plant-based butter. She is onto something, and her
mm,
cheeses are incredible. And it's all cashew-based, and it's pretty clean too. There's not like a lot of that extra stuff in there that I find with many of the fake cheeses that, are a little questionable.
that would be great. I'd love to get that information and the supplement.
Absolutely. Any other questions coming up right now? Uh, I would also like to offer anybody on this call a free discovery session if you don't want to talk on this call, but you'd like to learn more about what I do and how a healing journey could look for you. You are welcome to book a free session with me, and we can go over all the details and make you a roadmap to your health. All right. Well, if anybody, thinks of anything afterwards, feel free to reach out to me. But I hope you have a beautiful evening. Thank you again for coming. I deeply appreciate your presence here. Um, and yay, I'm so glad it was valuable information to you all. And maybe we will talk in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.